doesn't make me very happy. It treat me like I'm a condemned man.
I don't play late, but can you talk for a few minutes?
Of course I can.
Can I get you something?
No. Please, don't be a hostess. It's not necessary. And it's certainly not necessary for you to be embarrassed about asking a friend to listen. Pat, I can certainly understand why Paul refusing to give you a divorce would upset you like this. But
That's not my biggest words. I'm afraid of what Tony's going to do when he gets out of the hospital.
Look, kid, I had a second thought that I might get in trouble for letting you in when your father said.
You won't get in trouble.
The motel has a policy, so I think you better wait downstairs in the front office.
Oh, but I need to sleep up here. I need a good night's sleep, because we're leaving early tomorrow morning.
Well, Mr. Kendall didn't say anything about leaving.
Well, he doesn't know yet, but we are. For good. Bye.
Well, it may not be as bad as you think, then.
But Tony, are you kidding?
I'll admit he seems a little more excitable than usual, but I'm sure he feels he's had more provocation than usual.
Yeah, I know. He's been going through a terrible time, but I'm sorry, I can't help but resent it when he insists on getting his own way all the time. And I don't care how much he yells, I cannot give in to his demands. I do care, but he refuses to understand the situation.
And I'm sure that intellectually Tony understands the situation. But he's probably having a lot of difficulty dealing with the thought that you can't bring yourself to do anything that will hurt Paul.
How can I deliberately hurt Paul after what we've been to each other?
I'm not suggesting that you do. Then there's something else that Tony probably has on his mind.
What?
The possibility, however remote, that you may still love Paul.
What was that? Deep feelings.
And I'm sure that Tony senses that, so you can't really be surprised if he feels a little threatened.
Well, he shouldn't feel threatened. I mean, he should know that I love him in a very special way.
Love is not notorious for inspiring logic or reason.
Well, all I know is Paul and I never used to have these arguments when we lived together.
Well, I venture to say that Paul was never confronted with such a complex situation either.
Well, now that's true. I mean, nothing this complex ever happened when I lived with Paul.
And then Paul doesn't strike me as being quite as explosive a man as Tony.
I don't know about that. I think it's more of a different kind of anger. You know, I mean, Paul never seemed to need to force his viewpoints on me the way Tony does. And yet, for some reason, I love Tony in a way that I've never loved any other man. Oh. What's this?
That looks like a message.
Well, I'll tell you, it's got Mom written on. I think that's a very good book. Here's the thing, Brian probably wanted ice cream before he went to bed. Found out we didn't have any, and now he's living in Europe.
You're in trouble.
Dear Mom, sorry to break it to you this way. Sorry, this stuff was one hour, by the way. But I have gone to...
What is it, man? Is it really? Sweetheart, you're willing to stay up half the night with Kevin just so I can play with him.
That's because I love you, and for no other reason, and don't you dare think otherwise. They're going to find the tumor, and they're going to take it out. That's all.
Sweetheart, if that's the case, will you please treat me like someone who has a problem that's going to be fixed? Hey. Honey, we don't know how much time we have left together. Let's not waste 1 second of it trying to fool each other.
I can't think about anything but that damned operation.
Neither can I. Kicked myself all the way back to Landview for not asking Dr. Lucas more questions. Well, perhaps if they explained the technical aspects of this damn thing, I'd be able to understand it.
Well, should we call Jim or Larry?
No, sweetheart, I don't want anyone here tonight. Oh, I do want you here.
I love you so much.
Tell me about it.
I've gone to live with my father. He's unhappy and he needs help, Brian. He's leaving me because he needs his father's unhappy. He never would have done it before I'd encouraged him.
Wait a minute, Pat. Are you sure you're being quite fair with Paul?
Jim, my son has just run away from home.
But that does not mean that Paul encouraged him to do it, Pat.
Paul wouldn't do a thing like that. Unless...
You mean you think that Paul would try to use the boy as a pawn to get you back?
I don't know, maybe.
Do you really think that Paul is capable of that kind of blackmail?
No, he's too honorable to do something like that.
All right. And presumably he'll be honest enough to bring the boy back home.
Well, why isn't he at least calling?
Pat, we don't know what time Brian wrote that note. He may not have arrived at Paul's yet.
Oh, Jim, it's after 10:30.
I know, but Brian is a big boy. He's not going to get lost between here and the motel.
Well, it seems to me that my big boy is turning into a spoiled child.
I don't know about that. It takes quite a bit of maturity for him to convince himself that his father needs him.
And what about me?
For him to leave that kind of note for you must have been very difficult for Brian.
And how do you think I feel reading this kind of note? My son doesn't want to live with me anymore. He prefers to live with his son.
Brian? Hey, sleepyhead, come on.
Hi.
By yourself. What's this all about?
I want to live here with you.
Does your mother know you're here?
Well, I left a note. She probably won't find it till tomorrow morning.
Explain that.
Well, you see, I put it under the coffee table. So when she has her morning coffee, she'll probably see it.
Was she asleep when you sneaked out?
No, she's at the hospital with Tony.
What's going to happen when she comes back and finds your bed empty?
Well, see, I took most of the pillows and I fluffed them up to look like me.
Well, you had it all planned, didn't you?
Yeah, I've been planning it for a long time. You're not mad at me, are you? I mean, you do want me to live with you, don't you?
Well, that's a dumb question, you know it. What I'm worried about right now is what your mother's going through.
Well, by the time she finds the note, we could be miles away from here.
Brian, don't you realize the pain that you're causing? I think you better get that.
No, I'm not going to.
Brian, you know it's your mother.
She's just going to tell me to come home, and I don't want to go there ever.
Pat?
Is Brian there yet?
Yes, he is.
Could you put him on the phone, please?
Sure, hold on.
No.
Brian, don't treat your mother this way.
I'm not going to talk to her.
Brian?
Look, she's just going to tell me I'm doing the wrong thing, but I'm not. I don't want to live with her anymore. I want to live with you now.
Pat, I'm sorry you won't come to the phone.
Could you please bring him home right now?
Look, I don't think that's a good idea, seeing the way he feels.
What did he say just now when he told him that I wanted to talk to him?
He said he doesn't want to live with you anymore. He wants to live with me.
I'm driving right over there now.
Pat, don't hang up. I don't think you should do that.
Well, I am.
Look, it's late, you're over-emotional, and Brian's strung out. Now, I just don't think we should try and resolve this tonight.
I want him home in his own bed.
Pat, look, you're thinking of this as some kind of crisis, but I don't think it has to be.
Well, how else am I supposed to think of it when my son runs away?
Well, why don't you try and think of it as something as being not so dramatic? I mean, something as simple as a kid spending the night with his father.
Oh, Brian has no intention of coming home.
Now, don't you think it's possible that a good night's sleep can change all of that?
Do you?
Well, I think we will all have a different perspective and probably make a lot more sense if we hold off until morning. Why don't we meet for breakfast?
thinking about all the things we've been through together, all the things I've put you through. And now this. And then you stand by me. You're one hell of a woman, you know.
Joe. Darling, you've been my whole life. I don't even know how to say it.
I feel right being here.